Hello. Hello. When people are ready to start coming in. However long that takes. Because it is definitely taking time for people to come in. Which it sometimes does take time. Hey, Killface. You're old. How old are you? Who cares? How's my day? Meh. Hey, Jerry. Was what it was. Hey, cute, funny. Chat is moving from the bottom up. Isn't that usually how it goes? Works. I didn't actually work today. But isn't that usually how it goes? Starts at the bottom, then the comments always move upward. Like, isn't that how it always works? Are you having a bit of a day, Killface? We've all been there. Anywho, I probably slept in later than I really should have today. Done a site visit. Near Barian is 149 per liter per gas. Jeez. Sounds like a lot. I assume that's. I don't drive, so I don't really pay attention to gas prices, but I assume that's really high. Oh, correct me. Oh, how cheap it was. Well, there you go. I don't drive, so yeah, I don't pay any attention to gas prices. 77.9 Kitchener. I slept until 2 this afternoon. Got up at 2, which, you know, 2 in the morning, early for me. It's my actual anniversary. I have to go. Oh, enjoy. Enjoy, Killface. Congratulations and enjoy it. Yeah, for me, getting up at 2 in the afternoon is pretty early, but I do have to work at 8 in the morning. Yeah, Uncle Buck. So, everybody's not making those noise. Not really. Not much that I hear. Yeah, like some here and there, but not a lot. Anyway, I don't have much to say. I'm trying to think of what to say, Uncle Buck. Um, what is there to talk about? Ryan Gosling is from Cornwall. Gosling. Uh, from is a bit strong. I believe it was Cornwall, and I think Burlington. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So like he sort of grew up between those two places. Hey, Simone. the movie is also. Yeah, I mean, he's a good actor. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I know he did attend the same high school I did. Was always in your team in Emmy too. Uh, I don't know. I feel like I try to vary a little bit. I do love Grunt. Um, I do also really like Miranda because she boosts, you know, her sort of class ability just sort of boosts squad mates, myself included. Garrus is usually pretty good. I do kind of like Tally. Oh, and Kasumi. I actually really like Kasumi. Shadow Strike is really cool. It's just a very cool ability, you know? I mean, I've played all the classes. You know, like engineer, I do like engineer. My favorite is probably, I would say my favorite of them would probably be Infiltrator. Probably my favorite class in two, and one for that matter. Don't like biotics. So the problem with biotics in the third game, in the second game, is that aside from warp, most of them are not particularly effective against enemies that have any level of protection. If they've got shields, biotics can't do jack shit. Who visit the White House? No, I didn't see. But yeah, if they've got shields, biotics can't do jack shit. If they've got armor, then warp is the only biotic ability that can be useful. If they've got barrier, again, somehow warp is the only one that's actually useful. And I'm not good at video games, so I don't usually play on a very high difficulty anyway. But even so, I mean, Charles and Camilla. Oh, right. I think I did see something about them visiting. Um, even just like on a normal difficulty, a lot of Eclipse mercs have shields. A lot of Blood Pack have armor. Hey, so it ends up being one of those things where just like, and there's also Ymir mechs. So there's a reasonable decent number of missions where biotic heavy classes are just not terribly useful. Three, luckily, and their guns suck. Yeah, limited with limited guns. Three, luckily, did fix that so that biotics go back to being useful. Biotics are kind of broken in the first game. Yeah, like in Mass Effect 1, biotic abilities are kind of broken, but everything is broken in the first game. Mass Effect 3 did do a really good job with biotic abilities. Really easy to set off detonations. So they're not as useless against enemies with shields. And you encounter fewer enemies that have. You don't encounter quite as many enemies that have regular shields. Yeah, you do encounter, armor and barriers, but not too many of the Cerberus enemies have. Oh, actually, no. Marauders have shields. Marauders all have shields, and you encounter a lot of Marauders. So. For 3, I do still like infiltrators. I do actually really like engineers in 3. And vanguards are just. Vanguards are probably the most fun job in 3, or the fun class in 3. Like in 2, they are really, really risky. They're a very dangerous job to play. They're a very dangerous class to play as in 2. In 3, they're just fun. Legion. Legion's a great character, although I rarely have him in my party. He's like a weaker. He's like an inferior version of Tally in terms of gameplay. But yeah, Vanguard is just hilarious in 3. Because it just charge Nova, charge Nova, charge Nova, charge Nova. Like you just never stop using charge and Nova. It's just all you do. Wha-boom, 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 wha-boom. Never got the ending. Tally wishes except back into. Really? It's not like it's difficult to get. High charm, high intimidate, or if you help both Vitor and Rieger. You can rally the crowd. Although I suppose, like, if you're, it does require that you either go full Paragon through all the way through, or full Renegade all the way through. Like, if you sort of like, you know, some Paragon choices, some Renegade choices, and then your Charm and Intimidate might not get high enough, which was a serious problem with 2. First games as well, where you had to choose either, Charm or Intimidate. Yeah, they started, the first game did the same thing, but the second game did it really badly. The second game, you need, like, it really pushes you. It really forces you, really, to be either entirely Paragon or entirely Renegade. You can take a few interrupts here, and you can take a few Paragon or Renegade interrupts, but the bulk of your choices need to be one or the other. You can't sort of try to do both. Otherwise, you will get locked out of shit. Third game definitely did it the smartest. Planet Extraction. The mining. Yeah. It gets tedious. It can get tedious. It's one of those things, like, if you're in the right mood, it can be very chill and relaxing. But most of the time is just tedious. Luckily, when I did the for the Legendary Edition, I've got it on my computer, which means I'm able to use mods. Which means I can just use the one probe all resources mod. And save myself a shit ton of effort. My mom's kidding. Not today, now. I'm thinking, like, before I visit my mom, like, whenever I do go over to her place, not sure what day it'll be, but probably Sunday. I expect I'll be going over to her place Sunday. So I figure, hey, Shelly, before I go over, I'll pick something up on my way. Stop in at the place on my way there. Just have to make sure I go early enough. They do just at 75. I know this is a hot take. I hope the 5th game has nothing to do with Shepard. Hi, Brooke. I don't think they should bring Shepard back. Shepard's story is done. Like, I know everybody wants Shepard's return in Mass Effect 5. I don't think that's the way to go. Shepard's story is done. Any of the original characters? Very few. Like, I'd be fine with, like, Liara showing up. Just because Asari lived for 1,000 years. New universe. But I would want it to be, I would want it to be primarily a brand new cast. And like even if Liara does show up, small role. At most, let her be like, a quest giver type of thing. Shadowbroker, yeah. Yeah, someone who, like, gives the character some information here, gives them some missions here and there, but is primarily background. Because I also think that, like, set it a couple hundred years after the events of the game, of the trilogy. Jump forward a couple hundred years. Galactic civilizations had time to rebuild itself, to forget the events of to forget the events of the trilogy. Yeah, it does depend on what kind of story they want to tell. Like, are they gonna is the story going to be sort of about galactic civilization rebuilding itself? And your character has to deal with elements that are trying to either disrupt or otherwise take advantage of the state of the galaxy. Because that'd be fine. And if that's the way they go, like if that's the direction they want to go, then sure, existing characters can show up. What is it to release? I don't think they have a release date. I'll be honest, I'd be surprised if they even know what they're doing with it. Like, I'd be kind of surprised if they've even fully decided everything on it. Yeah, still just TBA, untitled, to be announced release date. So yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if they do it like in sort of like in the sort of rebuilding stage, like shortly after the events of the trilogy and society is rebuilding, then having existing characters appear would be fine. Just not as part of the not joining the team. Advisors, cameos. Yeah, most of them might work as minor cameos. Like Garrus, not even an advisor, just like a cameo from Garrus. Sure, fuck it, fine. But even then, I'd keep them like as few as possible. Even then, I'd like very, 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 very limited number of characters as cameos. I try to avoid it as much as possible. I would want, I'd want it to stand primarily on its own. Yeah, way I figured there's two ways of doing Mass Effect 5 that have potential. Like there's two decent ways of doing Mass Effect 5. Galactic civilization's rebuilding, and your character is dealing with elements that are trying to take advantage of the chaos. That's option one. Option two. A few hundred years have passed. Civilization's already been rebuilt. Lessons of the trilogy have been forgotten, and everyone's at each other's throats again. Edie can always come back. In either case, I also think about the only ending that would actually work would be destroy. Like the whole point of the synthesis ending is everyone is understand each other, everyone's lives in peace and harmony, and la 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 la. And it's a fucking stupid ass bullshit ending, frankly. It's just a really stupid fucking idea for an ending. Uh, Control ending. I don't know. I feel like, hey, Catherine. I feel like having the Reapers like keeping an eye on everybody, kinda. Like if the Reapers can just go in and like shoot anybody who's causing problems, I feel like that might sort of be a bit of a problem. I feel like destroy is the only ending that really works for continuing the story. Anyway, Catherine, I assume you heard about Jerry Conway. Very tragic. And honestly, even destroy sucks as an ending because it removes the Reapers or the Geth from the story. Is that it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, every couple months, another comic book legend dies. Over Sam Keith. Jerry Conway. Comic book writer. Legendary comic book writer. Yes, right before I came on live, I watched episodes 11 and 12 of The Max. It's just one episode of the show left. I'll leave it as its own episode because I'll probably have a lot of thoughts, I figure. Anything so far? Jerry Conway. Jerry Conway probably best known for the night Gwen Stacy died, which he wrote when he was like 20. He's like he started writing for Marvel at like 19, or he started writing Amazing Spider-Man when he was like 19, and it was like a year or so into his run that he wrote the death of Gwen Stacy. He was just a kid at that point. But yeah, that's probably the biggest story that he wrote. He co-created Punisher. He co-created the Punisher. He wrote the first Clone Saga. Does work with Punisher. He wrote the original Ms. Marvel solo series. He wrote the original Superman versus Spider-Man crossover comic book collection. I do have, I've got 5 boxes of comics. You can't really see them here. I've got them blocked, but I do have 5 boxes of comics. Frankencastle was a fun, quick read. I've read part of the Frankencastle. It's the kind of stupid that comic books thrive on. Like, Frankencastle as a concept was just really stupid, but the kind of stupid that comic books, that superhero comics thrive on. Conway also co-created Firestorm over at DC. So yeah, he did a lot of DC stuff as well. So yeah, Firestorm, pretty notable character. He co-created Jason Todd back when he was writing. He wrote Batman for a while and introduced Jason Todd as the new Robin during his Batman run. He did. He wrote a fair amount of Justice League of America. Hey, Buttercup. He wrote a fair amount of Justice League of America, but rarely, like, he'd write, 125 to 127, 131 to 134, and actually 151 to 216. So he did have one stretch of, like, actually writing a long stretch. Yeah, he wrote a chunk of Justice League. I'm not sure what he did in his Justice League run, but he did write it for a while. Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man. Exclusive on this DC work. Same here. It's not something that I read. I was never a DC. I'm not a DC guy. I did read Superman in the early 90s. Maybe he had ADHD and needed to do something new all the time. Fell down a new YouTube rabbit hole. Always fun. Yeah, I read like The Death of Superman. I did read The Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman, and a very brief period of after Superman came back. It wasn't that long after Superman returned that I stopped reading. I think I might have mostly stopped reading comics altogether around that time, or like I cut back a lot on comics. A lot different. They have some cool stuff. I mean, they've had cool stuff for a while. Sorry, I'm just gonna get more water. I'll be back in a minute. Anyway, yeah, like DC. Need some Marvel shirts after your collection. I mean, I've got Jubilee. I've got an X-Men shirt. Got my Jubilee t-shirt. Got a Dazzler t-shirt. But yeah, I mean, as far as like DC goes, like Marvel's never had anything to stand up to Vertigo. Again, like I know, like I haven't even really read any Vertigo stuff, but I know Marvel's never had anything that can stand up to it. You know, they've never had they've never really managed a series to compete with Vertigo. But even aside from that, New Teen Titans back in the '80s was considered up with Uncanny X-Men in terms of quality. Like the two biggest books of the '80s, like the two best books of the '80s, were like Uncanny X-Men and New Teen Titans. Even in the '70s, they had a lot of great stuff. Yeah, in the '70s, they had Jack Kirby with his Fourth World. Was it Fourth World? New Gods, his New Gods stuff. For a chunk of the '60s, Marvel was kind of eating DC's lunch. For a pretty solid chunk of the '60s, DC was just not able to do what Marvel was doing, or was just not doing what Marvel was doing. Marvel was just way cooler, a lot more hip, a lot more creative, with comics like Doctor Strange or things like that. So for a chunk of the for a lot of the '60s, Marvel was just absolutely better than DC. But I mean, once Neil Adams started working at DC, things changed. You know, they started doing cool, creative stuff as well. Even if it's not stuff I've read, I've heard of it, and can appreciate. You know, I can recognize they were doing some amazing things. They were genuinely competing with Marvel. And then, like, into the 80s, like I said, they had New Teen Titans. They had uh, oh oh shit, Patrol, Doom Patrol. Has Marvel ever had anything that as utterly fucking weird as Doom Patrol? Maybe Next Wave. Maybe. But no, even then, even Next Wave wasn't as weird as Doom Patrol was. And like fucking trans rep in an 80s kind of trans rep in a big two superhero comic in the goddamn 1980s. Hey, pause. Fucking Marvel struggles with trans rep now. Marvel still has trouble with trans characters. Music sucked. Comics were dumb. Yeah. 80s music was bad. Yes. I agree. 80s music was there. A lot of 80s music was shit. A lot of 80s music was just not particularly good. Friggin' hair metal? No. Hair metal was never good. Motley Crue sucked, you know? Or fucking Toto? No. Africa is a fun song to make fun of. It is not a good goddamn song. Do you love Megadeth still? I used to love Megadeth, but my taste changed. I just very much moved away from metal in general. So, like Africa by Toto is unintentionally hilarious as a song. Toto, I haven't heard about them in a long time. You know, it is not a good song. It is a bad song. It's a really bad song. It's just that's part of what makes it funny. Also, I once came across a video that was Toto's Africa in alphabetical order, which was weird. Anyway, I've always been someone who doesn't really care that much about the mainstream anyway. I'm a big fan of modern music, just not anything that anybody's familiar with. A lot of time listening to a lot of different things. Only seems I do music during the gym or cleaning and painting. Listening to people admitting about their finances. You like some covers of 80s songs? Some 80s songs? Yeah, a few here and there. And I mean, there are a handful of 80s songs that I do like, a very small number. 99 Red Balloons is a great song. Old Chain, Perfect Life, Crap, Useless, Spending on Cars, Homes, Vacations. Yeah, like the 99 Red Balloons. It's a good song. So there are a handful that I do like, but by and large, I do think 80s music was pretty bad. Couldn't imagine $250,000 of debt hanging over me. Yeah. But like I said, as far as music goes, I do tend to lean away from what's popular anyway. And to a certain extent, that's kind of the problem with older music. Is the only, like with classic rock, 80s, 70s, 60s, all that stuff. By and large, the only music of that era that's really available is what's popular, or is what was popular. So most times it's just me going, no, what are you doing? Very similar and same 12 tracks on loop. Song radio times two the amount of as the song. I still need to check out the new Pornographers album. Because the new Pornographers just put out a new album. And I do like them. They are pretty good. Solid band. Indie. I might be more inclined to classify them as alt. No. Wikipedia calls them an indie rock band. Been around since 97, so they've been around for a long time. Indie rock, power pop, post punk revival. So yeah, Wikipedia classifies them as indie rock, power pop, and post punk revival. Man along with Rush. Always exists in my rotation. Bad Religion. Yeah, they're a Canadian band. Interestingly, New Pornographers are a Canadian band. For a while, they had Neko Case as a member. And she's American. No, actually, not really. She had moved up to Canada for a couple of years and started, and I guess met some people who became New Pornographers and recorded recorded a few songs for their first album. Toronto. Actually, they're from BC. They're from Vancouver. What a name choice. It's definitely a memorable name. Vancouver is a good time. It is. Apparently, the name comes from a Japanese film called The Pornographers. Also, an homage to The New Seekers and The Pornographers, a track on Destroyer's first album. Horror flick. Satirical. An Introduction to Anthropology Through Pornographers. 1966 satirical Japanese film. Satirical black comedy. '66, that would be the old pornographers. The original pornographers, I guess. Hey. Apparently, Nico Case is back for the new album, and probably some other albums as well. Some of the other albums. Yeah, apparently Nico Case is did some vocals for the new album. Nice. Anyway, they're a fun band, so I do need to check out their new album. We're like 1 month from Spider Noir. Cool. Oh yeah. Good catch, Buttercup. Good catch. It is good that she reminded you. Because I wasn't about to remember. And good night, Catherine. I also have to be up early. I have to be up at 8 tomorrow. 8 in the fucking morning. Don't like that. But thank you for coming. But that 8 a.m. is early to me. Usually I haven't even gone to bed by 8 a.m. Polar opposite, yeah. Yeah, I usually haven't even gone to bed by that point. Struggle to sleep past 4 a.m. on my days off. It's 8 to 4 tomorrow, 10 to 5 Thursday, 1 to 9 Friday. So I need to, yeah, we'll see. So it's possible I'll end up skipping on Friday. Like skipping coming live, I mean. Anywho, started going to bed at 4 to 5. It's training only because I have to take Madison to work at 11. Can't just jump out of bed and take her. Have to be at least up for at least a couple hours. Yeah, luckily I don't really need. Was it Tracy need before crazy traffic? Luckily, I don't need to. I don't really need to worry about. You know, oh, I need to be up for a certain period of time before I'm functioning. I mean, I don't really function in general. So, but yeah. Yeah, once I'm out of bed, I'm, basically good to go. Hi, Bender. No need for coffee or anything like that. So, woke up, I automatically say I don't want to go to school. Call a friend, take an Uber. That's pretty. I mean, this right here basically is how I party. Kind of blue. Oh. Same as usual. Woohoo. Woohoo. It's a good song. Seems peachish. I'm peachish. Yeah, probably. Hit up the roller rink. I don't think so. Man, I'm not sure I'd remember how to skate on ice skates. Having to learn how to skate on rollerblades at 41 years old? Pass. I don't know if my knees could take it. Don't seem like a roller skater. Indeed, exactly. Yeah, I never learned how to roller skate. We are known as fruit booters. Like, you're known as that by choice, or does it mean skater kids got me at the skate park and at the mall? Ah, okay then. You roller skate everywhere? He fruit booting about. He fruit booting about. Anyway, another reason not to hit up the roller rink is I'm guessing Cornwall probably doesn't have one. It's the most efficient mode of travel and the most stylish. I think the most stylish is actually being carried on one of those oh, what are those things called? Those platforms that people carry on their shoulders. Not a rickshaw, no. Bundle? No. Bindle? It's not a bindle, no. A litter. Or palanquin. A palanquin. one of these things. And then like, like people pick it up and carry it. Those kinds of things. That's the most stylish way to not a casket. They look aerodynamic. You're still alive when you're being carried. Yeah, I think a palanquin is the most stylish way to travel. I mean, I think it's usually for rich people, so prisoners of their wealth? But anyway, the point is that is the most stylish mode of travel. For lazy people who seem fit Reddit. I mean, yes. Hey, 651. They didn't have scooters back then. I mean, they often had horses, but the point is you have people carrying you around. It's a power thing to just, I'm so important that people carry me around from place to place. Ever ridden a motorized scooter? I have not. You can get on your back. Sometimes I always feel like I'll fall forward and knock out my teeth. Paul Blart. Yeah, so you mean like the what are those things called? What the hell were those things called? Segway, yeah, segways. Those things look stupid. Having some rough decisions in life. I'm out of fork in the road. Those rented two-wheel blade things. When I was working at Rogers, there was a girl who had one of those things. So stupid. I yelled at a cop one time saying, "You ain't gonna catch no one on that." He just smiled. Uh, since I do work early tomorrow, I'm gonna end the stream early. I have genuinely no idea if I'll make it on or not tomorrow night. Because, like I said, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Help make decisions. You don't want me helping you make decisions. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. And good night.